Welcome to the Call to Harmony, where we explore the inner journey to oneness with self, others, and the divine. Okay, everyone, welcome back. We are here for another episode and excited to be with you and to talk about what we're talking about today. And I think that Tucker is actually going to start us off with an experience that he had last night.
Yeah, this is really fresh. The type of stuff that we're talking about is just part of everyday life. So last night, I was caught up in a lot of stories in my head. I was feeling a lot of pressure to do a lot of other things in my life. Not other things. I was feeling a lot of pressure to do different things in my life. I have, a project on the side that I'm working on and worrying about how I'm doing with work. And then there was another project that I felt like I needed to work on. And to be honest, my mind really got the best of me. And I was just stressed about what do I do about this and this and this. And the stress started building up until it was pretty miserable. And I was like, I can't possibly do all of these things that I want to do in my life. And I can't possibly do the stuff that I'm already doing as well as I want to do it.
Yeah.
And I just felt really, really miserable and caught up in the drama of it. And I sat down for a meditation. I can kind of tell when I'm in that headspace where I need to come down from it. And so I did that. I meditated, and then I went to bed, and I woke up this morning in a totally different place of realizing why I was so lost. And maybe that's going to be the theme of our episode today. I had lost touch with my soul. And that sounds like super dramatic to say it like that. Like I wasn't dead or anything like that. But in a way, one way to think of it is I just got caught up in the branches of my life. I got caught up in my thoughts, in my stories about my life. I got caught up in all of these things that I felt like I should be doing. And I just lost touch with like the deepest part of me. And so what does that even mean? In this episode, we'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll even practice finding our souls. So what I did this morning is I was like, okay, I got to do a meditation that's going to help me get in touch with my soul. So I just started by exploring my senses and noticing my sense of sight and then backing up from it and realizing I'm not my sense of sight, but I'm the soul behind it that's receiving information through my sight. And I did that with my hearing, my sense of touch, and then my thoughts and my feelings. And then as my thoughts kept kicking up, some of those old stories would come back and I would just remind myself, hey, I'm not that story. I'm not an actor in that story. I'm the soul that's behind all of that. And as I kind of peeled back all these layers in my mind, this incredible sense of peace, fulfillment came up. I just felt like, hey, I'm completely whole at this level of soul.
Yeah.
And all of these stories that I was stressing about last night were stories about how I wasn't enough and I was lacking. And there was more that I needed to do in order to be whole. And so today I've just been on this amazing reminder journey of how when I lose touch with my soul, man, life feels really miserable. Can you relate to that at all, what I'm saying here, Savannah?
Yeah, I feel like I think it's hard maybe, and I think a lot of people probably experience what you're describing, but don't like maybe the wording's different or the attributing it to like not being in touch with your soul. But I think that there, these times where we do get caught up in the thoughts and just the noise kind of that's going on. And while it can all be even like important, it's not like it's all just, social media reels or something. Like it could be all these other things of, thoughts of maybe inadequacy or, whatever it might be, self-doubt. I think that we, like you're saying, lose touch with like our truest self and our soul and this deeper part of us that's, like you're saying, is behind all of that stuff that we're getting caught up in. And I think that I go through waves of that where I feel that and I feel that disconnect. And it's not a fun place to be.
Yeah,
It's very uncomfortable, and I think that, um, I start to not feel like myself actually, but, sometimes it's hard to get out of that space though and to, you know, climb down from those branches, if you will, to get
yeah,
back in touch with, like, the root and your soul, so, yeah, I can definitely relate.
yeah, well said. Some of the things that I'm working on these days is helping people overcome habits that they feel like are taking them away from who they want to be and how they want to live.
Mm,
And I often see that those who can come back to their soul, like be in touch with the deepest part of their soul, the habit just kind of falls away because the habit, a lot of times, and I won't say immediately because it takes practice to reconnect with our soul, but a lot of times our habits that we develop, our go-to our go-to escapes that we use, whether it's doom scrolling or
mhm.
ice cream or more ice cream or whatever it is, um,
Mm,
those things, those behaviors are usually a symptom of us having lost touch with our soul,
mm,
and we're feeling pain because we're out in those distant branches that you referred to instead of in those roots. And I've seen it happen with people where they're like, "Oh, I got in touch with my soul again," and those behaviors aren't as necessary anymore.
yeah,
And so
that's cool.
it's an exciting thing to be able to start realizing how to how to get in touch with our own soul and to start recognizing when we're a ways away from it and be able to rectify that because
Yeah,
then we're not at the mercy of our life circumstances. We can become proactive in staying in touch with our soul.
that's cool. That's awesome. You wanna teach us this
So,
meditation?
yeah, should we try it right here, right now?
Let's do it. I could use a meditation.
So, yeah, we'll do a little meditation that will help you get in touch with your soul. And if it's hard for you, that's okay. And you can come back to it. And if you're not in a place right now where you want to try this, you can always skip ahead to the end of this meditation. And we'll actually put it as a standalone meditation in season 2, episode 2. But let's take a moment to slow down right now and practice that. So, if you're still with us listening, go ahead and get in a comfortable position, maybe with your spine straight, as that helps us stay more alert. And always to get in touch with our soul, it seems that we need to slow down from the frantic pace that our society and the world seems to move at. So, in order to slow down a little bit, let's just go ahead and focus on our breathing. Pick a spot in your abdomen where, when you breathe deeply, you can notice that your abdomen expands a little bit, and just give your full attention to that specific place, that specific muscle that expands as you breathe deeply. And as you breathe out, relax that area of your body. Let that relaxation expand to the area around your lungs. As we're dropping into body awareness, you might feel certain feelings come up with it. A lot of times we live up in our heads and don't realize that there are feelings here, and just allow the feelings to come up as you become aware of your body. Your body's been holding these feelings, these sensations for you. And our goal isn't to get rid of them, it's just to allow them to be what they need to be. So as you continue to breathe, as feelings come up, just breathe into the feelings, breathe into the sensations. You might have aches or pains come up in your body and breathe straight into that ache or that pain. You might have pleasant sensations. Also, give your full attention to that and breathe into that as well. And now let's turn our attention to finding connection with our soul. And we'll do it first by cycling through our senses. So we'll start with the sense of sight. Just take a moment to focus on any point in front of you with your eyes open at this point, and allow your eyes to have a soft focus, which means you're not so focused on the object that you're looking at, but you can see everything in your periphery as well. Just take it all in at once. And without moving your eyes, just notice the light sources, notice any shadows, notice the colors that you're able to see in your that you're able to take in your sight right now. Notice any textures. Notice how your sight can pick up depth, width, length. And notice all of this information that's simultaneously coming in through your eyes. And just take a moment to notice that you are not your sight. You are the soul, the being, the consciousness that is receiving the information that is coming in through the sense of sight. And see if you can step back into that soul and just notice what's coming in through the sense of sight. Now let's shift to the sense of hearing and just become focused on any sounds that are in your environment right now. Notice their volume, their pitch, their depth, their tone. And of course, that can include the sound of my voice. Just notice the richness of information that comes in through this sense of hearing. And notice that you are not the sense of hearing, but you are the soul or the consciousness that is receiving the information through the sense of hearing. And notice the stillness that comes as you focus not on the sounds, but on the soul or the consciousness that is receiving the sounds. Let's go to the sense of touch. You can close your eyes for the rest of this meditation if you'd like to, so you can not be distracted by any other senses or things coming in. And with the sense of touch, let's start with our feet. Notice what you can feel through your feet without even moving them or changing anything. Maybe some sensations you didn't notice were there before we turned our attention toward them. If you're wearing socks, what do your socks feel like? Notice temperature, texture. Notice how much information is currently coming in through the sense of touch through your feet that was already coming in, but until we turned our awareness there, maybe we were missing it. Notice the sense of touch through your legs. Through your arms, through your abdomen, your chest, your neck and head, maybe whatever your hands are touching right there. Just notice the temperature and texture. Is what you're touching soft or hard? And see if you can soften your focus now so that you can take in all the information possible that's currently coming in through your sense of touch. And sit back in that soul, in that consciousness that isn't the sense of touch, but is the receiver of the information through the sense of touch. Let's do the same with the sense of smell. Breathe in through your nose. Notice the scents that come in. Is it mild or intense? If there are thoughts that come up in response to the smell, just notice those thoughts. Bring your attention back to the quality of the smell itself. Notice the information coming in with that. And notice that you are not that sense of smell, but you're the soul behind it that's receiving the information through that particular sense. Let's go to the sense of taste. There's likely a lingering taste in your mouth right now that as you turn your attention to it, maybe you didn't realize it was there, but now it grows a little bit in intensity. Be curious about it. What taste is there? What information is coming through the sense of taste? And notice you are not the sense of taste, but you are the soul that's receiving information through that sense of taste. After going through the five senses, see if you can take a moment to sit back in the soul and receive information through sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, and notice all of that information coming in simultaneously. See if you can not get caught up in your responses to the information, but instead just observe the richness of sitting at that level of soul, receiving that information simultaneously. You can open your eyes for a moment while you do that. And notice as you sit back in soul as awareness, notice the sense of stillness that comes with it. You might have a sense of peace. Let's close our eyes and let's go next to our thoughts. These can be challenging to work with sometimes as they tend to take our attention away, like sweep us away and like a passenger in a taxi, taking us somewhere where we don't know where we're headed. But for our purpose now, see if you can sit back and notice what thoughts are coming up in your mind. Thoughts usually arise through one of two means, or both, combination, either an image that comes up in your mind or through words being spoken in a type of voice in our head. So I'll just be quiet for a little bit. Just notice your thoughts, whether they're coming in through words, through mental commentary, or through images that come to your mind. And as these thoughts come up, just notice them. You might even label them as image or as talking as you hear the different forms of thoughts that are coming up. And then just bring your attention back to sitting in soul, sitting in consciousness, and noticing let them drift by. Some of the thoughts can be rather juicy and be tempting to give our attention to them, but just labeled it as a thought and bring your attention back to being the observer of the thoughts. You might even say, this thought is like a passing cloud, and I am the sky, and let the cloud pass by, blown by a breeze. And notice as these thoughts come up that you are not those thoughts. You are the soul, you are the consciousness, you are the witness that is hearing the mental commentary or witnessing the images coming up on a mental screen. And as you sit back from those thoughts, notice the peace that arises when you are in that observer's seat. Let's shift our attention to feelings, emotions. Notice what feelings and emotions are present in your body. Feelings and emotions, though we may not usually think or talk about them like this, they're always physical sensations of some sort or another. So find where they are in your body. You might even give it a name. I am sensing nervousness in my chest. I am sensing anxiety in my stomach, or just give it a name and a place in your body and allow your feelings to be as they are. And notice that you are not those feelings. You might even repeat that in your mind. I am not this feeling. I am not this sensation. I am not this emotion. I am the soul that receives the information through the feelings, the emotions, and the thoughts that are arising. And as you sit in this space, notice that a lot of the things that we get caught up in our lives are a combination of the senses, of thoughts, of feelings. And they might come in the form of a story. I need to do this thing, or I need to be better at this, or, oh, don't forget this. And they might come in the form of, oh, I need to plan something, I need to do something else, I need to be better. Just notice those as thoughts, as feelings, as stories, and remind yourself, I am not that story, but I am the soul that is witnessing that rising story. And come back to connect with soul that is sitting in stillness and in peace. So often we identify ourselves with roles, with positions, with possessions. As any of these things arise, worries about maybe work, remind yourself, I am not my work. I am not my position at work. As your mind might pull you away to thinking about a possession or a thing that you own, I am not my possessions. You might have a craving come up in your body. Oh, I'm hungry. I want to eat. You might remind yourself, I am not my cravings. As you have some unpleasant feeling or aversion to something come up, you might remind yourself, I am not my aversions. I am the soul. I'm the witness. I'm the consciousness. I'm the awareness that can sit in peace, can sit in a place of loving awareness, allowing everything to arise. And notice as you keep bringing yourself back to this place of soul, though it's challenging, thoughts pull us away, worries pull us away. As you practice coming back to it, notice the sense of freedom and liberation that comes when you're in touch with soul. All of a sudden, the stories, the stresses, the worries of life that so often pull us away, get us caught in the branches, don't seem as worrisome. They might actually start to feel a little bit small as we notice that our soul, our consciousness is big enough, expansive enough to hold all of those stories and to know that they are not you, but you are something far more expansive, far more valuable, far more capable than sometimes those stories might suggest. And as we wrap up this practice of sitting in soul, just notice as you've been able to spend some time with soul, what has shifted, what has changed in the way you feel, the way you're thinking. Do you feel a little bit more confident, connected to self, a little bit more peaceful about life, who you are, and what's to come? And Savannah, in my experience, as I sit back in soul and then start to re engage with the world, I open my eyes and I start to notice that my mind wants to tell stories again. Sometimes some of those feelings will come back. So it's a practice that as I come out of it, I might even use the coming out of the practice as another practice.
Mm.
Oh, I need to go fix that thing on my car. There's my car keys or whatever. It's like, oh, I am not just a car owner. I am the soul that is witnessing the need to fix the car or whatever it is. It's so easy to let our mind pull us right back into the branches. But everyday life and everyday moments can be a time to remind ourselves I am not this role. I am not this worry. I am not this feeling. I am not this thought. I am not this fear. I am the soul that is witnessing all of this and
Mm.
experiencing all of this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So there's a little practice of how you might sit in soul. And there's a lot of implications to it. There's a lot of applications to it. And I would be curious to know, Savannah, from you, and maybe listeners think of the answer for you. How can staying in touch with your soul, how do you see it making a positive impact in the way that you live your life day to day?
I think that just the slowdown and the stillness of that, like how much effort it takes to like think of all those things and be like, wait a sec, I am not that. I am the soul behind that or the consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Like that takes a lot of mindfulness and again, in like my day-to-day life, I'm so busy and going from place to place, thing to thing, checking off my to-do list, adding more to my to-do list, and just thinking of all these things that I need to be doing and places I need to be. And um, I feel like I've lost uh, a like stillness in my life, and everyone I think can relate to that. Everyone's busy, and that's kind of just how life is. But I think that the slowing down, and again, even coming out of that practice, my thoughts already were like, what time is it? And when is my next thing that I have to be doing? And what am I going to be, like already started going. So when you then said like coming out of the practice can be a practice, I was like, wow, I just failed that. Like I just was already ready and open and going off. And it's like, it's just crazy how much our minds are trying so hard to be doing all of these things and thinking all of these things. But I can totally see how if I could, apply this and make it somewhat of a daily practice or even just a momentary of like, wait a sec, I am not that thought or that emotion or that sense or whatever, there's something more behind it. Um, just helps with that slowdown. So
Absolutely. Way to take what you called a failure and turn it into a success right there. Like, you're like, "Oh, I just caught it. I just noticed it."
yeah.
Even noticing our minds start to take us over is a way of keeping touch with our souls, because that
Mm,
was a moment when your awareness not overtook, but you deferred to your awareness instead of your mind to
yeah.
tell you what's most important in the moment,
Yeah.
and that is a huge success right
Nice.
there.
I didn't fail.
Yeah, way to go. See, that's the ironic thing with all these practices is that no failure is permanent, right? Everything that we want to call a failure or that our mind wants to label as a failure is actually a success that we've just turned into a failure that we've just turned into a success, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so every moment that we come to ourselves, we come to our souls, life restarts in that moment. And we've got a fresh slate, and there's pure potential and possibility ahead of us. And we can let go of all those messages from our mind that's telling us that we're not doing enough because we know that the source of that is not our soul.
Yep.
At the level of soul, right now, we are perfectly whole and we are well. And when we keep touch with that, everything else falls into place.
Mm, that's great. I love that idea that there's a wholeness when you get in touch with your soul. Because I think so much of the busy work in our minds is an effort or an attempt to make us whole,
Mhm,
completing all of these tasks, whatever it might be for people, exercising or who knows what, like that everything that we're trying to do in life is, trying to grow and to evolve and do all of these things. But there's something about like our true core is actually already whole. It makes sense that all the other things kind of just start to fizzle and fade and aren't as, pressing. Um, that's beautiful. It's very hard to get to that place because of the world that we live in and
mhm,
we have to work and we have to go to school and we have to, do all of these things, or at least it feels
mhm.
like that. And so, but we are whole at our core, which is, I think, a great reminder for people, for me.
Right. And imagine a world where we are working, we are going to school, we are engaging in our relationships, but we have touch with our soul as we do that.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, work doesn't feel like work. Relations don't feel like work. Relationships don't feel like a task.
Mm.
Like life doesn't feel like a checklist anymore.
Yeah.
Life feels sacred and more like something to hold in reverence because our soul can see and sense value in this moment and in people and things around us that our minds can't sense. Our
Mm.
minds see people and situations as means to an end for us to get something, to become something, like you were saying, to finish a task, whatever it is. Our minds will treat people and things and moments as objects to be used for my
Mm.
personal gain.
Yeah.
And our soul can see those same people and things and tasks as sacred opportunities to sit with and to cherish.
Mm,
And I think all of the listeners have had a moment when you were in everyday life and all of a sudden soul came to the surface, and maybe it was a moment with a loved one or in nature, or sometimes they come at random moments when all of a sudden there's this touch of the sacred right here, right now, and nothing needs to be different. And as we talk about in this podcast, that's a moment of harmony.
mm.
And our souls live in harmony. Our minds have no idea what harmony is and no idea how to capture it. And it wants to capture it, put it in a bottle and keep it and put it on a shelf as a trophy. And our soul is just always there.
Mm,
Eckhart Tolle has said, we are like deep lakes, and at the bottom of that lake, we're always at peace. Imagine that you are a lake, and you live mostly at the surface with the waves, with the winds, with the turbulence and things. And if there's a hurricane out there, it's just miserable.
mm.
And that's how our lives get when our minds take control and we don't take time for stillness.
Yeah.
And if we take time for stillness and sink down to the bottom of that lake and touch soul, it actually doesn't matter how bad the hurricane is at the surface,
Mm.
because at the level of soul, there's just peace
Yeah.
and wholeness. And it's my wish that I can bring more soul into my life. I can live my life in touch with my soul and not get so caught up on the surface
Hmm.
or in the branches. And that's my wish for everybody listening as well. And hopefully, this practice, this podcast today, has helped you get a sense for how life becomes sacred and how we can live in a place of harmony as we live in touch with our souls.
That's great. Thanks
Anything
for
to add?
sharing that. Just I need some weights to drag me down to the bottom of the lake.
Nice.
Just kidding. That's what these meditations do. I think that's what
Yeah.
it,
That's a
these
great way to think of these meditations as like just lead anchors that
it's pulling
just
you down.
pulling you down.
Oh,
Isn't it?
man.
Sometimes that's what it feels like. Sometimes, honestly, sometimes when I slow down, my mind is like, no, no, no. Like we can't take time for this. We can't do this right now.
Yeah.
And that's the best indication in the world that I really need to do that
Yeah. Yeah.
right
And I
here, right
think
now.
there's so many things telling us that we can't slow down or, I feel that so much in my life where, yeah, I don't have time. And if I try to do it, then I'm just like, ah, I need to be doing something else,
Yeah,
but it really is, again, like we talk so much about practicing harmony and like it is a practice. Like you think about any sport, you practice every single day. And like these concepts are the same harmony or practicing being in touch with your soul. Like it takes such a deliberate and intentional effort consistently to, get to these places. And I think when you talk about that, I think we all want to be at the bottom of the lake. We all want that peace, that stillness, especially if there's a hurricane going on. But we like, and this is more for me than maybe for some of the listeners, but it is so important for me to take that time. And again, like you said, when we're thinking we really don't have the time, that for sure is when we need it the most. The hurricane's coming. So, or it's already here. And we need
absolutely.
to, get in touch with the soul. So thank you for that
Yeah.
meditation.
Yeah. I was reading Thomas Merton just today, and he said, uh, I'll probably get the quote wrong, but he said something like, what would music be without silence in it? Silence is part of the music.
Hmm.
And without the silence, music is not beautiful. And what would our lives be without the stillness, without the soul? It would be a rush of unintelligible notes that don't bring us joy, but just stress as we try to compose something out of this mess of chaos. But when we stop and sink into the stillness of our souls, we start to see that life is already beautiful. The music is already there. I just needed the pauses in order to recognize and create more beauty in the moment.
Right.
So thanks everybody that tuned into the podcast and practiced slowing down and connecting to our souls today. We hope that you're finding harmony as you join in these practices with us. And if you know of anybody that might benefit from this practice or this episode, please share it with them. We'd love to bring more soul and more harmony in the world. Thanks for being with us.
See you next time. Thank you for listening, and we hope you will join us next time on The Call to Harmony.